Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Football Language Podcast for learners of English who love the beautiful game of football. My name is Damien, and I am in a cold but bright London. And how is the weather in Tokyo, Damon?
Hi there, Damien. It's cold here in Tokyo too, but raining as well. A very wintry weekend. How about a message to cheer us up?
State ascoltando languagecaster.com.
That message was in Italian, and yes, you are listening to languagecaster.com, or as we are now known, the Learn English Through Football podcast. What do we have on the show today, Damon?
Well, Damien, on today's show, we will be looking at two different phrases that have emerged this week. We will look at a phrase from the Champions League match between Manchester City and Real Madrid. Madrid star Jude Bellingham used this phrase when asked about his manager, Xabi Alonso. To down tools. But before that, we're going to take a look at a phrase from the verb to turn a corner. And at the end of the show, we have a big derby for our prediction section.
Merhaba beyler. Ben Türkiye'den Mert. Şu anda Language Caster dinliyorsunuz. Sevgiler.
Right, that message we just heard was in Turkish. And as always, we will have some more stingers or messages throughout the show in different languages. How many will you be able to recognize? And don't worry, we'll let you know the languages at the end of the show.
Hello, my name's John. I'm from Hull. I'm a Hull City fan. You're listening to languagecaster.com.
Thank you for that message. Okay, next we have Damien talking about our first football language phrase, to turn a corner.
Now, Liverpool have been in the news recently as the champions have not been in good form at all. In fact, they have already lost 6 times in the Premier League this season. But recently, the Reds have started to find their form. They have started to play a little better. Since losing at home to PSV in the Champions League, at the end of November, they have played 5 times and won 3 and drawn 2. When a team starts to find form, we might sometimes hear the phrase to turn a corner, which suggests that the team have changed direction and are starting to play well again, and more importantly, are starting to pick up points. We might also hear the phrases an upturn in form or green shoots of recovery, which both suggest that the team is starting to play well after going through a difficult period. My team, Tottenham, have also, hopefully, turned the corner, especially with their home form after winning 2 games in 4 days last week. Interestingly, Spurs will play Liverpool next week in the Premier League, the Learn English Through Football podcast derby. I wonder which team will continue to turn the corner and maintain their good form.
Yes, Damien. Both our teams seem to have got over a bumpy patch of bad form. Liverpool looked very solid in their last game against Brighton, a 2-0 home win. Unfortunately, we'll be travelling to London to play Spurs, and London has not been a happy hunting ground for Liverpool recently. I'd take a point now if you offered it. Staying with Liverpool, this is our second football language phrase, to down tools. Last week I posted a podcast on the phrase that Liverpool's Mo Salah made, in which he felt the club had thrown him under the bus. The player was angry with the Liverpool management, and there were suggestions that players were not giving 100% for the manager, Arne Slot. A phrase that means the players are in conflict with the manager is to down tools. This phrase was used to talk about Salah, but it also hit the headlines this week after Real Madrid's defeat at home to Manchester City. The Madrid manager Xabi Alonso is under pressure after a poor run of form, but his player Jude Bellingham stated in an interview that the players had not downed tools. This phrase is related to work and striking. The workers refused to work because of a dispute with their bosses, so they down tools. They stop working as a protest. In football, this sometimes happens when a manager and their squad don't get on well. So in this case, Bellingham was saying the players supported Alonso and hadn't downed tools, had not stopped believing in their manager.
Vous écoutez languagecaster.com.
Okay, let's move on to the predictions this week. First up is Sunderland versus Newcastle United. The Sunderland players have definitely not downed tools, as they have had a fantastic start to their return to the Premier League. They've beaten Chelsea, drawn with Arsenal and Liverpool, and are 9th in the league. This Tyne Weir derby should be a cracker. Damon, what do you think?
It's been a while since we've had a Tyne Weir derby in the top division, so I'm really looking forward to this. Of course, Tyne is the river that runs through Newcastle, and Sunderland is on the River Wear, which gives us the name of the derby. As Damien has mentioned, Sunderland really have been a surprise package this season. Too often, newly promoted sides struggle, but their start has been very impressive. Newcastle, on the other hand, were expected to do better this season, despite losing their star striker, but their results have been a bit of a mixed bag: draws, wins, losses. I think this is going to be decided by the fact that Sunderland are playing in front of their home fans at the Stadium of Light. The atmosphere will be crackling, and it will see Sunderland to a 1-0 victory. How about you, Damien?
These games tend to be tight or very close, and so I am going to go for a draw. 1-1 with possibly a red card as well.
Você está escutando languagecaster.com.
And how about practicing your predictions language with us? What do you think will happen in any games that you are watching this week? What do you reckon will happen? Will your team be too good for their opponent? Let us know by coming along to our site or on any of our social media sites, and leave a comment and maybe post a comment on our forum. It's a really nice way to practice some of your writing. And of course, you can leave a predictions voice note as well, and we'd love to hear from you.
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम है राघव और आप अभी सुन रहे हो languagecaster.com.
And of course, don't forget, we have a huge glossary of football terms with hundreds of expressions, phrases and cliches about the beautiful game of football.
皆さんは languagecaster.com を聞いています。
Yes, you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast, and that message was in Japanese. We also heard Italian, Turkish, French and Hindi, as well as from fans from Hull and Brazil. So well done if you got any of those correct. And remember, you can add a message by sending us a recording for the Learn English Through Football podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
You're listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast.
Right, let us know if you hear or see any of the phrases or words that we have talked about on this week's show, including downing tools and turn a corner. Has your team turned a corner recently and maybe improved their form? Also, how would you say these phrases in another language that you know? Drop us a line at contact@learnenglishthroughfootball.com, and we'd love to hear from you.
Enjoy all the football this week. We'll be back early next week with another weekly football expression, and we'd really appreciate it if you could share our site with your friends and give us a like on your favourite podcast platform.
Bye-bye.